Hi folks, how are all of you doing? As always, a pleasure to connect and speak with you on contemporary topics to do with life and careers. A very interesting topics more to do with the recent happenings in the in the Indian entertainment scenario, if I can say so. Something which happened in a stand-up comedy show has become a very grave reputation issue for a few people. I'm sure you know whom I'm talking about. You might be aware of the huge controversy surrounding beer biceps Ranveer Allahabadia and some of his friends who probably chose to use vituperative and probably abominable language in a comedy show. The subsequent aftermath in terms of the authorities taking cognizance of this development, and probably even the state government saying that the law will take its own course in taking appropriate action against these people. FIRs have been filed against Ranveer Allahabadia and a few others who were there in that particular comedy show. India's got Latent is the show is about, and if you're somebody who's probably fairly aware of what the current news is, you would know what is it. Ranveer Allahabadia itself is not a new name to controversy. People say he's been sporting controversy time and again. He's somebody who started off as a fitness enthusiast and then become a fitness blogger. And after about a few years of being a fitness blogger, he also made a transition to become a broadcaster. A phenomenal growth as a podcaster, and probably it is said that his current net worth is about 65 crores, and his monthly revenues are in the range of about 25 to 35 lakhs per month. I think that is the kind of network the person has, and he's got built a very strong reputation for himself over the years. His shows is probably very highly watched, one of the most sought after podcast shows in the country, almost to the point that he's even had a few union ministers lining up for a show. Smriti Irani was there in a show, External Affairs Minister Jay Shankar was a show, Surface Transport Minister Nitish Gadkari also was in a show. I think this is just a sampling of the kind of people who are probably who've been invited to talk in his podcast, Beer Biceps podcast. And this list goes on and on. People from politics, people from entertainment, people from the spiritual world, people from every walk of life are guests in this particular show. And with this kind of reputation at stake, one wonders how he chose to make the crass and completely unacceptable remarks in that particular India's Got Latent show. And the more pertinent point which we are speaking about here is what are the lessons in reputation or image management for people like us, people like you and me, and organizations in this. I think the first things first, a good reputation or a good brand takes so many years to build, and you just squander it away in just one remark. That is one thing which all of us need to be extremely careful. I keep saying this, in today's age and time of social media, in today's age and time where the media is craving for controversy, one needs to be extremely careful in terms of how they speak, particularly in any kind of public audience. That can be a comedy show, it can be a press conference, it can be a closed door meeting with your employees. Again, you might ask, it's a closed door meeting, so why should I worry? I can talk anything. I say that because I've already said this in one of my earlier talks. Today, everybody who's armed with a mobile phone, a smartphone, is a citizen journalist, and everybody who it has almost become a habit for everybody to shoot whatever they see and consume on mobile phones today. And with that kind of an ecosystem today, you have to be extremely careful, even if you are on a closed door meeting with your employees. I think we all know that even in the case of the earlier Lazar and Tubro chairman controversy, where the chairman spoke about his dislike for employees staring at their wives on Sundays and why aren't they working. I think that again blew up to be a huge national issue, despite the fact that it was a closed door meeting. Again, coming back to the point of this beer biceps controversy or the reputation controversy, if I can say so. the biggest lesson in all this for everybody, it can be you, it can be me, it can be an individual, it can be a corporate, it can be a small business, it can be a startup, is that your reputation takes years and years to build, but one off the cuff remark, one probably insensitive remark will make people come to a judgment that these are your true colors. Now look at this way. Ranveer Allahabadia has got a huge reputation. He's probably painfully built his reputation, painstakingly built his reputation over so many years, but one remark like this is probably going to set him back in a huge way. Here we're not talking about the legal consequences, but for sure his reputation has been hit in a very, very big way. If you probably are someone who watches Arnab Goswami in his yesterday's news show said that all these people who think they are doing comedy are resorting to verbal pornography. So that is the kind of gravity of the crime which these people have created. Of course, the law may not or may deal with them, but imagine the consequence of someone like Arnab Goswami accusing you of vernal pornography. I think it is a goner. I think the reputation of people like Ranveer Allahabadia will take years and years to come back to normal. Of course, they will probably, it won't hit them monetarily, but for sure their reputation is hit in such a bad way that it is going to take tremendous amount of hard work and tremendous amount of painstakingly building back credibility if you want to really survive. So keep this as a very, very important lesson, irrespective of what position you are. As I say, you could be an entry-level person, you could be a middle-level employee, you could be a senior employer, you could be a CEO, you could be a chairman of the company. Be extremely careful in the kind of words you choose to use in front of any audience. It can be a private audience, it can be a public audience, it can be speak in front of the media. I think the most important thing you need to bear in mind is that you need to keep in mind the choice of words. You need to keep in mind whether the words reflect your stature, and also whether the words reflect the kind of value system which you stand for. End of the day, today, if I am going to judge Ranveer Allahabadia, I will judge him for what he said yesterday or day before on that particular comedy show, and I will never judge him despite all his contribution over the past 10 years. Yes, he has been a revolutionary broadcaster in this country. Lots and lots of people are taking his route and wanting to be podcasters, but everything is a goner now. I think the only thing which is top of the mind recall for you and me and millions of people across the country like us is, oh, Ranveer Allahabadia, that guy who probably spoke or resorted to verbal pornography on a talk show. I think that is the kind of image which we built by our one-off behavior like this. So that is the biggest lesson, and I think it is a very, very powerful lesson for each one of us. The other big lesson is, I think, people love to see others falling. Yes, it may be very, very bitter to consume, but the fact remains that while if there are 100 people who are going to be happy because you are succeeding, the moment you fall or you start falling, there will be about 1,000 or 2,000 people who like you falling. And it is true in everyone's life, right? Because people, for invariable reasons, suffer from what I say, comparison. So people constantly compare themselves with others, and when they see somebody who's succeeding very well, even begrudgingly, they probably will acknowledge that somebody is succeeding. But the moment the people start falling or failing, they immediately thousands and thousands of people are just waiting to mock you and make fun of you as to how good or how badly you're falling despite all the success you had till now. And that is the biggest life lesson. That is why we also need to bear in mind that it is a classic example of how human behavior is. Yes, it is all easy to talk that human behavior is very dignified, people are good in nature, people are positive, people always like to wish good for others, but all that is fine on a book, on a piece of paper. But in reality, I think there are also a lot of people who are going to be extremely jealous of your success, and they're just waiting for just one day of your failure. And the moment that one day failure is there, they'll amplify it all over the place, thanks to the ecosystem today, thanks to the media today, thanks to the citizen journalism attitude today, where people record everything on these mobile phones. So bear these two important lessons in mind, and these are very, very powerful lessons in public relations and image management, irrespective of which walk of your life you are in, irrespective of what you do for survival, what you do for profession. It is extremely important that you bear in mind that every word of yours is being watched by the universe today. And by the universe, I mean it is your clients, your employees, the media around you, the authorities around you, the politicians around you, the government officials around you, just about everybody. I mean, did you imagine that Arnab Goswami will take cognizance of what Ranveer Allahabadia and his bunch of friends did on this talk show? But it has happened in reality, and that is a classic example of what the world is today. The moment you fall, the fall from grace will be so steep that you'll probably take decades to rise again. And that is exactly going to the reality in the case of beer biceps controversy. Beer biceps, it is just not going to be the same journey again. It is going to take tons and tons of hard work for him to get back his credibility. So never do this mistake of putting at stake your credibility. Never do the mistake of speaking inappropriately in any forum. And most importantly, I think the big reason why we really do such things is that at times when we perceive that the audience is friendly to us, we tend to slip our tongue. That happens. I've done it many times, and the moment you are in a very, very friendly ambience, you probably tend to let loose of your real self and probably talk something which is inappropriate. So be very, very careful of that. As long as the moment you're outside of your home, I think you should completely remember that I think there are no friends or foes. Everybody is a spectator, and any spectator is just waiting for you to fumble. That is the biggest lesson of this story, and I thought it is very, very important for each of us as professionals to get these lessons from this controversy, which is a huge one in my perception. Thanks for your time. I'm sure you found this very, very interesting and relevant from a reputation management and public relations point of view. And you can draw lessons from this incident almost for every walk of your life, be it your personal brand, be your professional brand, be your brand presence on social media, be your brand presence on in any events, be your brand presence on digital media, anywhere. I think the biggest lesson is be extremely careful with words. And what I always say is the power of words is very, very powerful, and if the power of words goes wrong, I think you're in for deep trouble. Thanks for your time. I'm sure you appreciate the perspective. I'll see you soon in another interesting and probably exciting podcast very soon. Thanks a lot. Have a great career and life ahead. Thank you.